Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, as usual. Yesterday, we had an abbreviated show on MLK Day. Thank you for all of you that were here, showed up. I got a chance to talk to a few of you right up into the beginning until I had to leave on an errand with my daughter. But thank you so kindly for being here, my great friends. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome aboard, Bridge MCP. Haven't seen you for a long time, my beautiful lady. How are you doing? Melanie Keelan, how are you doing today? You are here on time, my friend. Masticator, my good old friend on the right. Welcome aboard. May Wood says, I am in from Long Beach, California. And then, of course, we have Paul Fleming, who sent me in, I think, a pic. I hope, Mr. Fleming, the picture that you sent us was a picture not only with you, but your wife. But you guys seem real cozy there, sitting down with a cup. And I tell you what, before we even get started, I want to go show my peeps what it looks like. Welcome aboard, el señor Fleming, con su esposa, creo que es. Welcome aboard. Thank you so kindly for being here. Thank you for showing up on the show all of the times. Thank you for supporting the show by getting our cups. And remember, folks, we have all kinds of different cups that you can pick up and get. But anyhow, Paul, muchísimas gracias por estar aquí, señor amigo mío. Welcome aboard, AVQ. Of course, AVQ have a lot for us to get through as well this afternoon. Let's see who else we got here. We've got. Who am I missing? Paul Fleming calling in. We have AVQ, Michael Rudnin. We also have Yvette Avery, Herod, our union specialist. And of course, there's Bruce Pollard. Bruce Pollard says, looking good. Bruce, I got your email. Love what it have to say. We have a lot of discussions that we need to have. Anyway, Michael Rodney said, Berto, going to repeat the weekend post, followed by a couple new ones at the end. There's a lot. Read or skip at your discretion. Well, thank you for giving me permission to read and skip at my discretion, my brother. But let's go real quickly. I want to read them because they're pretty good ones. Eric Hayes, this one's for you. Follow up on Friday. Republican senator seeks to leverage clash with Fauci to build support for financial disclosure. He's calling the Fauci Act. The bill includes a provision for public disclosure of finances of all government workers, including the Congress themselves. I'm sure every progressive Democrat will support it. If Republicans are serious about this anti-corruption measure, you'll get bipartisan bill passed. Second, every once in a while, I feel good story. Awesome games done quick. 2022, AGDQ raises record $3.4 million for Prevent Cancer Foundation charity. It's the highest total raised by the GDQ event in speed running marathon 12 years. Michael Rudnin says this happened over the weekend. Tsunami triggered by huge undersea volcanic eruption hits Tonga. Tsunami advisory lifted for U.S. West Coast after volcanic eruption in Pacific. In Alaska, the biggest tsunami as of mid-morning was seen at King Cove at 3.3 feet. Washington State was seeing tsunami waves smaller than 1 foot, but forecasters warn that later waves could be bigger. Exactly, that's how tsunamis work. Michael Rennan also says, as Sinema defends filibuster, progressives say vote her the hell out. The filibuster is a meaningless Senate rule. It is a remnant of slavery used to block civil rights for generations. The Arizona Democrat refusal to consider even a voting rights exception for the filibuster has infuriated. We're going to cover that, so I'm not going to read all of that. Oxfam says the 10 richest men doubled their fortunes during the pandemic, while the income of 99% of humanity did what? Fell. Gabriela Butcher, Oxfam International executive, and I actually interviewed a person from the vice, I think it was a VP of Exxon before, executive director said, billionaires have, there are different chapters of course, had a terrific pandemic. Central banks pumped trillions of dollars into financial markets to save the economy, yet much of that has ended up lining the pockets of billionaires. Why? Let me explain to you how it works in a capitalist society. Amazon and all these guys could stay open. People couldn't go places because they couldn't. These people couldn't afford to make their places safe for sales. Amazon, Walmart, and all of these could, so they got all the business. So all that money that went into the hands of people, you know, the stimulus and all of that, went right back into the hands of Walmart, Amazon, etc. What we should have had then was a windfall profit tax to take away the excessive profits and roll that back into the economy to fulfill and make those other businesses that were forced by government to close. We had to make them, we should have made them whole. That's another story. That requires a whole chapter, but that is what should have been done. That would have been equitable. That would have been honest. That would have been moral. Anyway, continuing. Joe Biden sinks below Donald Trump's poll numbers only in one poll. That's an offshoot. The average of polls is 41.7, which still has him higher than the average of polls for Trump at this current level. Let's remember that. But also, we have to start telling the positive, progressive story. While Biden was not the choice of progressives, Biden has actually, with the policies he has proposed and claims that he wants, have exceeded our best expectations. But what has not is the intransigence of Sinema and Manchin, and who knows who if they weren't the intransigents. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. U.S. government moves to end daily COVID-19 death reporting by hospitals. The U.S. federal government will no longer require hospitals to report the number of people who die from COVID-19 every day, according to new guidelines from the U.S. Department of Health Resources. I think that's a bad move. I think that's a bad move. I think it's a bad move because it's going to seem like now that Biden is in power, we don't want to know the truth. Let's fight against that bill. That is not correct. That is not a good thing. I didn't know about that, by the way. Rodin, thanks for bringing that on. They picked January 6th to announce this change as if to bury it, expected news coverage to be focused entirely on the insurrection. I didn't hear about it, so it worked. Website for free COVID tests from the government launches early at limited capacity. And Ashley went ahead and reserved her four copies already, or her four instance of the COVID, 4 tests already. She got in. So the government has ordered 500,000 at home. Actually, it's 500 million, I think. Isn't that right? At home tests. But production isn't magically instantaneous, so it's going to take a short while until they're ready. I see this as a step in the right direction. Agreed. A huge asteroid will safely fly past Earth. I read about that. AVQ says watching from Twitch. Paul Fleming says he's checking in. Paul, I hope you saw those things on the screen. Anyhow, continuing, we have Brice says, hi, PDR Posse. Melanie Keaton says, I'm here. What else have we got down here? Everything keeps stopping. Is it my Wi-Fi? Let me see if I have drop-in characters. I only have 6 drop frames, so that should be nothing. Check out, reboot, do something. But we can be seen. ABQ says, push end the filibuster point is to, okay, he has some links. Take a look at the links. Bruce says all is good. Eric Hay says the bad side of mining for clean energy. Everything has a consequence, right? Yes, it does. But clean energy, even if it takes a little bit of effort to make a piece of product that's going to last for 20 to 25 years before you have to re-up that product, it's worth it. Come on, let's see all sides of the story. I've read all these articles with respect to what it costs to generate solar cells, what it costs to generate wind mines, all that kind of stuff. But again, it's nowhere close to what we do by dumping a lot of carbon in the air from cars when we could have them all electric. Shortage. ABC is a good source like CNN. Again, the media is run by the corporatocracy. It is their intent to make things much worse than it is, and by implication to try to make the government at fault. As I've said, the more they talk about empty shelves, the more they talk about supply chain problems, gives us the opportunity to show the failure of the private sector. So let them print. Supply chain is in shambles. Yes, the private sector has failed. Let them print. Oh my God, we cannot, the prices are going up. Yes, the supply chain has failed. The private sector has failed, and their greed has been exacerbated because guess what? We do not have shortages. And if you don't have shortages, you shouldn't have inflation. We have spot shortages, but what the plutocracy has used, what the oligarchy has used, what those in power, those with price and power have done is they have said, prices of oil is higher because the cartel has caused it. We can zap the price up of everything. So let me tell you again, people, please, I ask you also to relay this message. It is so important. The supply chain problem is a failure of private corporations who did all wrong. They would like you to believe that the government is the one that's inefficient, but it's the private sector because they have to look at everything that they do through the lens of how can I generate a profit with it? Why have we been latent in solving the problem with our vaccines? Because we have to ask the question, how can somebody make $1? If we can't make $1 first, to hell with the vaccine. Now the government pumps a lot of money, and yesterday I showed you a piece where the government doesn't want to give Build Back Better any money, but the semiconductor companies who threw all their manufacturing or most of their manufacturing, 88% of their manufacturing overseas, now they're seeing the folly in doing that. And what do they want now? They want the government to invest in them building factories in the United States, subsidize them with your tax dollars to then zap up the price of computer chips on you. If you don't feel taken by the system, or if you allow yourself continuously to be screwed by the system, whose fault is it? That's why we have Politics Done Right, folks. Politics Done Right is here to tell the truth, enlighten you, and not let you believe what you hear on mainstream media. Oh, the supply chain is in trouble. Is that going to hurt Biden? It only hurt Biden if people believe the false fallacy that the government is responsible for the supply chain problem. And you can't allow that. It is in your hands. It is in our hands to not let the fallacies take hold, brothers and sisters. Maywood says, how was the show yesterday? I had a doctor's appointment. I had an appointment as well. So what I did is I had an abbreviated show. I put the show together early in the morning so that I could have something to present, because you know what? You guys come first, and you know what? If you guys are supporting me, what the hell else am I supposed to do? Make sure to give you something every day of value, of value. Masticator says, AVQ, LOL, take your revisionist Marxist propaganda elsewhere. His propaganda is not AVQ doesn't give propaganda. AVQ puts out valuable information, Masticator, and the fact that you're here means that you actually get something out of it as well, sir. Let's see, Eric Hayes, yes, ABC News is highly factual source, but sharing video during a live stream, nobody's gonna watch that right now. But not only that, while they tell a story, they also fudge stories. What I mean by that is as follows. And the president said it the other day. The supply, how many people missed what they wanted to get for Christmas? How many people didn't get the gifts they wanted? How many people didn't have their gifts delivered for Christmas? Not many. But if you had followed ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CBS, and all these other newscasts, it would seem like, oh my God, the supply chain is in shambles because of the government, and you won't get your Christmas gifts. And you know what? You got them all. Eric says, the American people are poorer due to the inflation, etc., but they are not stupid. So do you think that they want to keep all this up going around forward, dysfunctional leaders are running this country and using division as it to use it? Again, what specifically has the Biden administration done to create problems for the average American people? The people that are making lives more difficult for Americans are Sinema, Manchin, and every single Republican senator and all but 10 Republican Congress people. That's who's making America a living hell for the poor and the lower middle classes. But everybody else doing fine. So that's my answer. All right, Maywood says, yeah, probably my Wi-Fi, Comcast, you know. Yep, inflation is affecting the 99%. Yes, it is. And guess who? Inflation is affecting the 99% because the 1% says I can screw you all. So you are absolutely correct, Mr. Hayes. Inflation is only allowed by those who have pricing power. You have pricing power if there are shortages or if you have a monopoly and can charge whatever you want to charge. And guess what the answer is in America? You have pricing power. And that pricing power has allowed inflation, because inflation is just rising prices, not because it costs these corporations more to manufacture or anything else, but because they see you as a pawn. And then we have the Eric Hayes of the world defending the private corporations that are screwing you and blaming the government. The corporation goes ahead and say, I love people that don't think. I sure love people don't think. How exactly did how did the government really mess with the prices? Please tell me. Please go through the mechanism. Go through the mechanism and tell me, how is it that Biden made prices higher? And they give you some convoluted thing that makes absolutely no sense. Okay, Masticator says, thank God Egberto sells through Amazon. He was still selling books during the pandemic, making money off the backs of antiseptic slaves. Oh, I love you, Masticator, because you know what that means since you use those terms? It means that you are actually listening to my words. Even as you mock me, those words are metastasizing in your brain. And when the right piece of fertilizer hits you, maybe something that the private corporations really zing you on, you're going to start saying, Madre mia, por favor. Egberto was right. Michael Rudden says, Egberto, pardon the typo. Hey, everybody makes typos. I am a master at typos, man. Let's see. Melanie says, hi, Rose. Yvette Avery Herod says, mine said some were ordered already for my address, but neither my wife or I ordered the test. People are really going to start doing things and they're going to start selling those tests. You know, that is the reason why you have to make sure before you throw these things out real quickly that they really think about how it's going. But the good thing about it is if they did it to your address, it means it's coming to you. Siscat, welcome to Politics Done Right. Breach MCP says from YouTube, Rose. Melanie Keelan, hi, Rose here. All right. Rose, I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you so kindly for being here. You and my two New Yorkers, you and Bridge MCP have been missing for a while. Ashley looked the other day and said, Dad, I haven't seen Bridge MCP, or I heard you talk to Bridge MCP over the air for a while. I said, yeah, I'm going to contact her. Rose, let me tell you guys, great to see you here. Michael Brennan says, renewable energy sources, you only have to dig up the components once, compared to fossil fuels, which you dig up fuel continuously over and over again. Thank you for that very sensible answer, my dear brother Michael Rodnan. And we also have Bridge MCP says, May downstairs may be issue, meaning for away. Let's see, Siscat, I got the message. At home COVID-19 tests have already been ordered for this address. Our records show that at home COVID tests have already been ordered for this address. We are unable to process duplicate orders. I never ordered them, but I guess I can hope they arrive soon. That's interesting. What you have to make sure is if your address has a lot of well, you know, some addresses, they have a central location to pick things up. I hope that's not the case. Maybe somebody at the post office trying to rip you off or something. Please, folks, make sure, don't let that stand. Norman Reynolds, welcome aboard. Eric Hayes says, believe it, believe it. All right, let's continue. What else have we got here? Bleach MCP says, keeping up with Ashley's writing. She is so deep. Makes you think how much or deep things can affect your entire life. And in addition, how dealing with them is hard. But she's dealing with them. And you know, like I always tell her, and I always try to make her realize, she is my hero. She's been working, she's been doing things in this house by herself, this apartment by herself, with one hand. And I tried an experiment and I did it. And my God, I don't know how she did it. I see her operate. She's building up new mobility in her left side. She can walk very well now with a limp, but she's working hard at it. But when I watch how she has operated on one side, moving around, she was even driving before she lost some more of her in the left quadrant of her eye. Look, what she writes is from the heart. And she means it, man. So, folks, you need to check out my daughter's writing. I'll put the link down there sometime soon. All right, Daniel says, AVQ, so you are saying the centrist position is actually leftist? What does that make you? Ah, wow. Deep, Daniel. Deep. Eric A says China has price and power. Of course China has price and power because we've ceded ourselves to China. If you are a corporation and you said, I'm going to put all my bags into the Chinese basket of the company, I'm going to close down the plants in Ohio, I'm going to close down the plants in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and all of that, and take it to and take it all the way to this place. What do you think is going to happen? What's wrong with the sound? Does Egberto sound go off? That's 3 times for me. I hope not. Let me know if it happens and I'll have to fix it if it does. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Bruce says, isn't the top 10 businesses screwing everybody? El Señor Bruce Pollard. It's probably a little bit more than 10 businesses, but you're absolutely right, sir. Masticator says, price and power is a Marxist lie intended to distract you from government failures. Okay, I'll accept that if you can explain in detail how the price and power that Exxon has, the price and power that Amazon has, and all of those, how is that a Marxist thing when that is what they have, price and power? And how does the government somehow affect how Amazon prices products? You see, what the right-wing media that informs you, Masticator, teaches you are phrases. Price and power is a Marxist term. Excess labor is a Marxist term. They're true terms, right? And they really have meanings. Now, exactly how is it wrong and how is it a government failure that these companies do whatever the hell they want? I tell you how it is. I tell you how I would define it as government failure. That government don't clamp their butts down. We, the people, have allowed the corporation, which are also legally people. That's why we're trying to get the 28th Amendment. Corporations are not people and money is not speech passed. That's the only failure in government, by allowing them to do that. You know? So you guys have allowed these private companies to really screw with your mind and indoctrinate you into believing they are offering you something that you otherwise cannot offer yourself. Norman Reynolds says, isn't it a shame that our Republican senators refuse to support American democracy and the power of the individual's vote? We are not supported by these obstructionists to democracy. Ask yourself the question, how is American exceptionalism, which is the basis of the GOP platform, supported by their position? The exceptionalist, America has never been exceptional. I love how we like to pat ourselves on the back, right? Look, we have always been a victim, and every country, I'm not saying any country, no country is exceptional. Every country has been a victim of circumstances. In the case of America's ascent, World War I, World War II, and being and having oceans in between warring factions made their growth to a powerhouse, including the ability to take others' land ad nauseum, allowed us victim of circumstances. That's how we got big, huge, and powerful. A lot of natural resources that we took, not only from America, but around the world. I mean, look, I am an American, I'm a proud American, but I am also an American that's going to try to do right. And when you try to exist in a vacuum, that is when you get hurt. We all have to accept what we are, who we are, what we've done, and what we are going to do to mitigate the things that we've done, to atone for what we've done. It's that simple. No complication, dear brothers. None whatsoever. Okay, continuing. Maywood says to reboot on, that's about the modem, etc., etc., etc. Rose says, we've been having an awful cold snap. I know, I'm in DC, and it's going to be going down to very cold weather again in a day. You know what it does to me, right? Bridge MCP says sound going on and off both YouTube and FB. Really? Folks, is anybody else noticing that as well? Has anybody else noticed that? Please let me know. Melanie says, I hear okay. Eric says, you did not read the clean energy article. I wasn't on disposing of the materials too, not just digging it up. Disposing of what material? They're recyclable. Well, we'll go another run. You have to realize there are professionals writing articles. In fact, people have offered me money to write articles to take a particular point of view and just get stuff out there into the ethos, into the space. Okay, you have to be careful. You have to be an intelligent reader. AB says, Egberto, I live in an apartment building. If they are limiting one set of for the entire building, that might be a problem. I kind of doubt. No, I don't think that's what they're doing. I bet somehow it is thinking otherwise, but we'll see. All right, keeping down. We have Michael says the American left is center-right on the international scale. Actually, center-right on the international scale. To a lot of Americans like you who are unfamiliar, this might come as a shock. Or so-called radical left or the international center, until you start talking about democratizing production and undoing the damage that capitalism has wrought. You are not an international left. All you have to do is take a look at other countries in the world. What they make sure to do all of the times is you don't ever hear them talk about giving up on socialized medicine. You never hear them talking about those particular issues, right? Okay. Oh, Ashley writes from the heart. All right. Thank you so kindly for noting that, Bridget MCP. Eric says the current administration policy is to make China richer and not hold them accountable for pandemic and other attacks on Hong Kong and Taiwan. Please tell me, what would you like to do about Hong Kong and Taiwan? How do you hold China accountable for Hong Kong and Taiwan? Please tell me. I would like to know. What is your choice? Should we invade China? If they invade Taiwan, should we look, let me tell you how silly some of these statements are from the people that you're taking information from. We put all our eggs in the Chinese basket by allowing China to manufacture a ton of our semiconductors, a whole lot of these other things, okay? That's what we do. That's what we did. And then we also put all our eggs in their basket as far as when we have deficit spending, instead of taxing the wealthy so that we can have less deficit spending, if any at all, we borrow not most, but a lot of money from China. So China is holding our debt. China is manufacturing for us. And you think that if China decides to invade or take over Taiwan or Hong Kong, that we can somehow do something about it without completely destroying the world's economy? After we are the ones who empowered China by having neoliberal policies? And again, the problem is this. Our educational system has made many Americans not very smart, not understanding what's going on in the world. That's one. And number two, they simply don't go through the steps and processes as far, if we do this, what then happens here? If we do that, what then happens here? Critical thinking. We don't want to talk about critical history. We don't want to talk about critical race. We don't want to talk about anything that requires us having smart discourse. But anyhow, my voice is getting a bit loose. I want to give you a little piece, a 3-minute piece from 2 minutes and 40-second piece from Ali Velshi, because it is worth listening to. Ali Velshi hit the nail on the head. I want you to listen to this because, you know, we've been talking about the economy. Finally, we have somebody in the mainstream media that says, you know what? The media has been covering the economy all wrong. Check out Ali Velshi, then we'll go ahead and take it on the other side.
It's time for an economic reality check. The news media hasn't done a great job of communicating where the country's really at. You see a lot of doom and gloom and not a lot of substance to back that up economically. For starters, the stock market, a key indicator of economic health for the former president, is going strong. The S&P 500 ended 2021 with a 27% gain. Now, about half of Americans are not invested in the stock market, which means that about half are, and that market performance helps your 401k and your IRAs. Then there are jobs. The unemployment rate is at a pandemic low, 3.9%, almost as low as it was before the pandemic and far lower than most economists will tell you is something called full employment. Average hourly pay has risen as a result, 4.6% in the past year. And all of these are signs of a strong economy. But let's not go overboard here. Not everything is wonderful, economically speaking, at the moment. Families are bracing for their first month without a child tax credit payment. The monthly payments of up to $300 per child included in the Democrats' American Rescue Plan did not go out today for the first time in 6 months. What's more, the payments are ending as inflation takes a toll on working families' wallets. Now, I mentioned that wages are up, but so are prices, which increased 7% over a 12-month period, making 2021 the worst year for inflation since 1982. Now, there's undoubtedly room for improvement, but what we're seeing right now is not an economy in crisis. We're seeing the result of policies that put more people in a stronger position during a once-in-a-generation pandemic than they would ever otherwise have been.
Now, it is important to see that. Notice that Livelchi is not saying everything is nice, good, and roses, but let's have some perspective here. The economy is much better than it was when President Trump left. It is much better than it was during Trump, and it has brought a whole lot of people out of poverty because of the policies, progressive policies instituted in the American Rescue Plan, the American Rescue Act. Come on. Let's not allow the right-wing media to dictate the direction of our thinking. Let's not allow them to make a good economy seem bad in order to win. If we allow that to cauterize, then that is when you lose that big House of Representatives that we're so concerned about losing. Absolutely so. So I hope you guys check that out, understand what was said there, etc., etc., etc. Okay, let me go ahead and see where I was in my list here. Where I was in my list. Okay, we took Australia, we built Australia, and we'll defend Australia, says West. Ooh, wow. I don't know what that means. All right, let's see what else we have here. Facebook is good according to Bruce. Bruce says, look at Arizona State about recycling solar cells. There you go. Alistair Water said, no sound problems here on YouTube for me. Everett Hart says, my is a standalone house and I received the same message. There's an issue. That's a bug in the system, guys. That is a bug in the system that needs to be reported, and I hope you guys have reported that, not just stay and say, I'm not going to get the thing. Eric Hay says, if you don't like capitalism, maybe switch your life to something else. No, this is my country. This is your country. This is all of our country, right? If most of us decide that we want to have a more equitable type economic system, that is what we will vote for, and that is what we will do. Now, capitalism is not democracy. China is a capitalist country, and you always rail about China and communism. Well, guess what? Capitalism works even better in China than it does in America. And you know why? Because it's a controlled economy. You can't. When capitalism says, I want to do this, they do it. We still have some government regulations that sort of regulate capitalism from some of its most evil aspects. In China, they don't have that problem. So capitalism is perfect for very dictatorial systems. Capitalism isn't great for democracies because corporations are not democracies. Corporations are by nature autocratic. Every corporation is an autocratic entity within its own right. The shareholders decide if they're going to keep their executives or not by anything the executive do. If they don't like the executive, get the hell out of here. And as Milton Friedman said, the latest god of capitalism, he says, we owe nothing to society. We solely work. Executive sole purpose is maximizing the profits for the corporations. You know, they don't highlight those statements often. They just do it, right? They just do it. In other words, we kill a lot of people around the world with COVID because we can't figure out how best to maximize the dollar of COVID. Think about that. If in a true moral world, where America was the moral leader, where there is enough, where we have the vaccine formula, and the world needs vaccine, in a moral world, we would say, to hell with profits and everything. Every single company will, or every single country would get factories to build this vaccine, and they would pump that vaccine into the arms of people who want it. They'll pump it in there. And that by killing so much of that virus over time, what then happens is what? You know what? It kills it, and all those permutations, all those what is it called? The different versions of the disease would be mitigated. I want you guys to think about that. Think about that. But what made this disease so much worse than it had to be was an economic system that had to first find out who has patent, how can you go ahead and get through patent rights, and how can you build it for a profit. If you don't see the evil in that, people, if you don't see that there has to be a better way, then you've eaten the Kool-Aid or drank the Kool-Aid. All right, let's see what else we got here. Tom C., welcome aboard, Tom. Biden's public disapproval rate is at about 53% today per UMass poll. Bet that is at least 10% of Biden's disapproval is due to disappointment from Democrats. Actually, you're right about that. That is actually right, Tom. That is, Tom C., I just read it was 33%. Wow, that just means it could be that much better. Bruce says it would be easy to write a bot to sign up for tests. Egberto could do it in a moment, and so could you, Bruce. So could you, Bruce. All right, criminals, let's talk on why is there so many things happening to good people, victims, right, or more important than the others. I don't know where you get some of your stuff from. All right. Oh, thank you for reminding me, Breach. Folks, please, 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 if you are watching on YouTube, please go ahead and click that join button. If you are watching elsewhere, please remember you can become a part of our PDR posse by going to politicsdoneright.com politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. politicsdoneright.com. Whoops, let's go again. politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. Alternatively, you can support us on Patreon. We need a lot more patrons. politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. You can even go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. politicsdoneright.com/PayPal, and you can go to our store to get all our products at our store. politicsdoneright.com/store. You know, yesterday I played a video of that I said it was the new ad, and what I said, I'm gonna repeat it here because it's something that I wish people would do. We made a new what is it called, promo for our books, and what I'd love is for people who own the book to send me a short 10-second video of why they like the book, why they like about the book, and I'm going to also incorporate it into several of our promos. But here is the promo that I'm going to give you right now, and then I'll be right back with you. I thought that was the promo. Let me get back in here. I thought that was the promo. It seems like that was the picture. Same thing that I did before, but I'm going to get to the promo right now, and you can check it out. I'm Egberto Willies, as host of Politics Done Right, a progressive radio media show on Pacifica Network's KPFT 90.1 FM Houston that engages all ideologies. I found that our political angst isn't mostly ideological. There is a well-designed effort by many in power to control us. If we are at each other's throats, we are less likely to demand our economic and local wishes. In that light, I wrote 3 books. I wrote the first one titled, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, to describe the entire economy in a manner we can all understand. It highlights why it was designed to pilfer most as it empowers a few, the chosen. The second book, titled, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, take it to the next level. After understanding how the system pilfers, it is incumbent that we can speak to our peers to empower a change. The third book, How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, gives us a place to land. After learning about our economy that is dysfunctional for most and learning how to engage the other side, we point out what would make an economy that works for all. Each book stands on its own, but together they provide the full picture. Please consider getting one or more. You will undoubtedly learn, be entertained, and help us continue the mission with our blogs, articles, videos, and books. I'm Egberto Willies, as host of Politics. It's all about voting rights, and these two activists, I want you to listen to what they have to say because it is important. It is what the speech that Sinema gave a few days ago. It was so disingenuous based on even where she's from and what she used to believe. Check this out by Ari Bellman and Maria Luz Kumar, and we'll take it on the other side.
This seems to be someone who has essentially declared that voting rights don't matter. All that matters is what Republicans want and what they desire and what they will vote for. So you, as somebody who has made it your mission, your life's work, to try to achieve, access to the ballot, where are we now?
Well, Kyrsten Sinema didn't just disrespect Joe Biden, she disrespected American democracy. And it's incredibly ironic that she called John Lewis her hero, but she's going to allow Republicans to filibuster the John Lewis Voting Rights Act on Martin Luther King Day. And really, she is allowing Republicans, her and Joe Manchin, are allowing Republicans to set the terms of the entire fight. Because what's happening is Republicans in the states are passing all of these voter suppression laws on simple majority party line votes. But Sinema is saying we can't protect voting rights in the U.S. Senate on a party line, simple majority vote. And so what she's essentially saying is it's too partisan and divisive to stop laws whose entire purpose are to be partisan and divisive. So basically, Republicans are plotting the next coup. They're doing everything they can to take over election operations in every key swing state. And Sinema and Manchin are basically saying, we're not going to do anything to stop it. Imagine the message that sends to the Republican Party and the message that it sends to voters all across the country who need badly federal protection for voting rights right now.
She probably feels it ain't gonna hurt her, but her state, it might hurt quite significantly. The state of Arizona is 31.7% Latino. It's 5.2% African American. It's 4% Asian, Pacific Islander. The indigenous population makes up 5.3% of the state. It's going to hurt somebody, but it's not going to hurt her. So she clearly doesn't give a damn. But let me not even argue with her. Let me let her argue with her. This is Kyrsten Sinema back in 2010 on the false pressure for 60 votes. Here she is.
The Democrats can stop kowtowing to Joe Lieberman and instead seek other avenues to move forward with health reform. And so it's likely that the Senate will move forward with a process called reconciliation, which takes only 51 votes. The Republicans controlled the Senate for quite some time. In fact, since around 1994, they never had 60 votes, and they managed to do a lot of really bad things during that time. So the reconciliation process is still quite available, and we will use it for good rather than for evil.
Well, Kyrsten Sinema seems to be very much of the political stripes that she'll change to whoever is calling her name the most. In this case, it seems to be being courted by the rich and the wealthy of the Republican Party. The challenge, though, is that she does not represent the interests of the state at all. You mentioned the rising electorate there. The young people that you talked about, African Americans and Latinos, are disproportionately young Arizonans. They are aging into the population. They are trying to define their future for this country. And it's by no coincidence that the modern day Jim Crow laws, coincide with the rise of young, diverse America. For the second time in a row, for the second decade in a row, Latinos were responsible for 50% of our population growth. American-born children who happen to be Latino. And when you look at states like Georgia, when you look at states like Arizona, when you look at states like Texas, together with the African-American community and the Latino community, it's an incredible force. And instead of having the Republicans compete for us on policy issues, they want to control and centralize power. And Sinema wants to be part of that apartheid autocratic government. And that's the question we should ask. We should also ask, where are the patriots on the Republican side? Where is the Mitt Romneys? Where is he? Why isn't he standing up? Because I can tell you that from what I understand from his father's legacy, which is what he claims is why he's here, his father would be completely, I believe, really upset and angry at what the Republicans are doing, because they are not talking about party politics at this case. What they are trying to do is that they are trying to erode little d democracy. Because what happens in autocratic governments is that it gets to a point where it's no longer about the color of your skin, it's the amount in your bank account. Because you centralize power on your cronies and your friends. And that is not only the antithesis of America, but it actually goes against our promise. And so what we need, and people say, well, what do we do now? Right. We need every single American right now calling their members of Congress, calling their senators and saying that it's not okay. And we need to look for new leadership in Arizona.
I hope you get three basic things out of this. One is that Sinema has changed her stripes. She used to support reconciliation and not allowing a 60-vote majority from stopping things from occurring in the Senate. Numero dos is that, yes, she is, in fact, with her obstinance, actually allowing for a second coup. And not only that, a coup for all of us to see as it is generated. And third, and most importantly, we have to realize the demographic in this country that is growing, and the real reason why the Republican Party are there, that they're in panic mode right now. The important thing is this: they don't want to pass policies that's equitable for everybody. They want to pass policies for the plutocracy, and those the plutocracy would hold in their own view as more deserving. Remember, that's what it's all about. A party that has no desire, the Republican Party that is, that has no desire for equity, and having two stooges in another part. Well, actually, it's more than just Sinema and Manchin. They're the only ones brave enough to show their faces, but others that are in the Democratic Party as well, that are nothing more than pawns to the plutocracy. They're nothing more than those who are working for wards, if you will, of the plutocracy. Let's keep that straight, and let's follow what Kumar had to say. Let's make sure and get those people, call your congresspersons, your senators, but most importantly, register to vote. Make sure you do it correctly, however hard it is, and vote them out. Vote progressives in. Absolutely so. You have got to vote the progressives in. You know, there's another video that I wanted to show, because and here's the real deal. For too long, you know, and I think Rudnin has been mentioning this quite a bit. Ezra Klein did a piece on MSNBC, and Ezra, sometimes I had a few problems with Ezra, because I think sometimes he's too conservative a progressive, because he many times don't see the big picture. But I tell you what, he saw it when he was interviewed by Ali Velshi. I think it was Ali Velshi that interviewed him. Go ahead and listen to this interview between, I think it's Ali Velshi and Ezra Klein, because it gives a little bit more perspective to the Biden's economy. Check it out. We'll take it on the other side.
Even without Build Back Better, ordinary Americans are better off now economically. You point out in your piece that JP Morgan Chase analysis found the median household's checking account balance was 50% higher in July 2021 than in the months before the pandemic. That's astonishing. Why isn't that translating into a higher approval rating for President Biden?
It's a really striking finding. So you got to think about what the Biden administration did on two levels. One, they tried to not allow the mistakes of 2009 and 2010 to repeat. So when they came in, building on the CARES Act, which had passed before them, they passed the American Rescue Plan, then later the Infrastructure Act. And that was a huge infusion of demand into the economy, huge transfers, the stimulus, the child tax credit, a ton more in those bills. And so you put that together with a very, very hot labor market they helped create alongside the Federal Reserve, and you get these numbers: very low unemployment, very high ability to quit and get another job, higher asset levels. The thing they did not anticipate is pretty high inflation. And so the danger that actually does truly darken the economic outlook for them in the next year is those transfers are not happening again. You're not going to have another stimulus this year. Right now, the child tax credit is set to expire, has expired, and will not be renewed. And so if that happens and inflation does not come down, you are going to see people end the year worse off. And people are feeling a lot of that. People hate inflation. They hate seeing gas prices that high. And it is very much obscuring very real economic successes they have on their record.
And that is what makes Manchin and Sinema so evil, right? Because we've got inflation, because those with pricing power, not because of shortages, but because they can, have decided to milk the Americans for whatever they're worth. And then at the same time, Manchin and Sinema allows the tax credits, a $300 tax credit that every American at a certain level would get for their kids. They took that away, took that back away. So in other words, where we were infusing those who needed the monies the most to ensure that not only did they do well, but that our economy continued to function, and also mitigate the thievery from those with pricing power who are responsible for inflation. That was the goal. And Sinema and Manchin said no. So what I'm saying is this. A lot of folks are going to say, well, Biden was not able to accomplish his goal. Well, he gave a hell of a rescue plan that gave $1,400 to people, that also gave a whole lot of businesses the uplift that they needed. All of that was given, and it inflated the economy in such a manner that we are at full employment right now. Secondly, he allowed for the infrastructure bill that the plutocrats love, the one that builds bridges and dikes and it fixes airports and all of that. Oh, that's passed just fine. So the plutocrats are going to get their money sent, laying cement and laying pipes and laying electrical wires. All of that's going to be fine. What's left out is the human portion for those who need other types of support. Childcare so that they can take those jobs that build bridges. Family leave so that they can be home to take care of a family member, so that they can go back to work in an effective manner when they know that their loved ones are taken care of. All of that sort of stuff that helps humanity, help every American in some form, whether you are poor or not. Because if you are poor, it gives you the money that you inject right back into the economy. If you're a business owner, that person can buy an extra piece of bread, an extra piece of cheese, an extra hamburger or whatever. But Sinema and Mansion, look, we're not going to bring the Republicans into this and say, well, they could be a part of the solution as well. We know they're not the part of the solution, because the policies behind the Republican Party right now is to simply do nothing with the expectation that the pain of the people will cause them to elect those who are ultimately responsible for their pain. But Democrats have enough power right now that they could alleviate that pain, and 2 Democrats are stopping that from occurring. And in 2022, we need to promote the appropriate message. In 2022, we need to go at Sinema and we need to go at Manchin. They're not up for re-election, but we need to use them as the pawn as to why the other senators that need to be elected must be progressive. They're not up for election, but they must be the poster child. They should be posted as the king and queen, surrounded by a army of Republican politicians, and say, this is the cast of characters. This is the monarchy that is screwing you. We need to learn how to make ads. Sinema and Mansion at the top, king and queen, and a what do you call that around the queen, and her staff. That is the ad that we need to put out there. And that covers that, well, Democrats aren't doing anything. No, Democrats are doing, these 48 Democrats said they're doing what's necessary, but those 2 are stopping us. The king and queen and their reign down below. And who's their reign? The Republican Party politicians that's stopping them from doing it. And then you campaign and said it's not about not voting because they disappointed you. It's about voting to take power. It's about voting so that you will elect people that will do the job and that can arrest what Manchin and Sinema has done. Because I am not blaming any Republican right now. Republicans will be Republicans. They stand for that evil. The politicians, that is. They stand for evil. We know that. But progressives and Democrats are supposed to stand for something else. And when you have two out of 50 that are not doing their job, we don't say, look, Democrats don't do their jobs. We say we need to get more votes out there. And more votes out there, we need to go out there and get it done by electing more. ABQ says, just a simple deconstruction of a meme. Great. Let's see what else we got here. Let me get back to your notes real quickly. Mitt Romney did stand up and give a point. Okay, let's see. Maywood says, well, the show is about over and everything seems to be locked up, so I catch you later. Sorry about that, but at least you got a message out. ABQ says, ideological purity compromises weakness, a fundamentalist belief in scriptural liberalism, denying science, unmoved by facts, undeterred by new information, a hostile fear of progress. Yes, a demonization of education, a need to control women's bodies, severe xenophobia, tribal mentality, intolerance and dissent, pathological hatred of the U.S. government. Yep. Let's see what else I have to read here. Okay, we're coming down close to the end of the show. Para ver, ¿qué más tengo? Bridge MCP said, why doesn't the damn people bombard their states with ads for what they are doing? I mean, I think it's because they don't want people to think that they're doing so much because of the things that they stand for, things that the plutocracy does not stand for. Look, there are two videos that I was supposed to play. I'll play them tomorrow. One is again about the economy. I think it's I did that one with Ezra Klein already. The other one is going to be done with the voting rights again, and it is a piece of the speech by Martin Luther King. But we are going to have fun tomorrow again. We'll keep having fun after fun as we change the world, as we do what is necessary. Thank you for making the show, Bridge MCP. We could not do this without you. Thank you so kindly. Folks, this is the end of the show. I know you have places that you could have gone. Let me give you the support. I won't repeat all the different links. Just let me give you two of them. The support link that gives you all the forms in which you can support us, politicsdoneright.com/support, and where you can buy our books, politicsdoneright.com/books. I ask you so kindly, everything that you work with us, we put it into making sure we give you a good, not only a good program, but an educational program where you have the ability to interact as well. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.